Hey, it's Ian at Las Vegas Scooters and Lifts, and today I've got a golden Buzzaround that's broken. Okay, gentleman's just brought this back in. It's a couple of years old and it's not working. He has actually replaced, that's not good, replaced the controller because he was getting a 9 beep error, which would indicate that the controller is faulty. But now he's installed the new controller. He's getting, he's also broken his throttle handle, but there's no movement. Not even a click. So I'm going to have to investigate and see what's going on with it, and find out what actually is broken with it. But he said he's replaced the controller. Oh god. Let's see if there's anything untoward in here. So this is your controller, that's your speaker, that's the motor and power line, spare fuses. The fuses are a pain in the butt to get in, and that's your brake. And he's saying he's getting nothing, he can't even freewheel it. We're getting a 5 beep error when I remove that, the brake. I'll shut that down. No, still nothing. Nothing up there either. So I'll have to investigate, have a look underneath, just make sure all the wiring's okay. If there's a broken wire, because if he's broken that off and pushed this in, what sort of damage it's done to the scooter. It may be over and done with, but everything's fixable at a price, I guess. So let's, I'll get into dismantling and checking it over and see if I find anything. Wish me luck. Okay, I've got the scooter in the shop. So, this is your main harness front to rear. And wobbling that, you can see that, this switch to release the battery. I don't know if that's caused any damage to the cable. There's a little mark on it there, but I don't know what's going on under here. So I'm looking at having to strip this whole thing down. He's broken his panels off of the front there. So it looks like he doesn't treat this very well. And that's my biggest thing with these. Treat them badly, they'll treat you badly. But yeah, I'm going to have to strip this completely down. So I want to investigate, see what's going on with this front to rear harness. Just make sure there's nothing damaged. And also I'm going to take the top console apart, take this apart because obviously he's broken his throttle handle. Yeah, I've come to find out he's changed his own controller. I don't know if that's the correct controller for this scooter. He didn't give me the original one, so I don't know. I don't know if that is the correct controller. According to what I see, the D50801, I think it says on there, B01, should be the right controller for it, but I don't know if it's programmed for the brake. So if it doesn't tell the brake to unlatch, then it could be a controller issue. Could be a wrong controller. I don't know where he bought that controller from. There are a couple of places online you can buy them, Monster Scooter Parts being one of them. It's left me the charger, but I'm going to just check for any wiring breakages or anything like that. I mean, that would be a first cause. Broken throttle handle, who knows what is broken there. You know, if that doesn't work correctly, then it's not going to tell the brake to release, because it takes all the information from there downwards, down and out towards the controller. So I'll get stripping it down and see what I can find. I did find a screw that came out when I tipped it upside down just to look underneath, but it's like a plastic cover underneath these, a protective tray that I've got to remove to get into this release button to find out what's going on with that. Front tiller's loose as well, so there's a lot to do on this. So I need to find out. I'll get Johnny to call him and find out where he actually bought the controller from and make sure if it's the correct one. Because if it isn't, if it's not programmed correctly for the electronic brake, and this was, like I said in the review, this is going to be its Achilles heel, is that electronic brake switch at the back there. It's not a physical lever like on all the other scooters, like on this monster here, this one. I still haven't got around to doing that. I can't get the armrest for it, so that's why it's set here. Plus I've had 3 of those come in. There's all the panels for this blue one. I've got another Solex in there that's going to Arizona, I think. So I'm inundated. I think a store in Las Vegas who did repairs, I think they've gone out of business, so I'm seeing a big influx of repairs coming into my shop. Great for me, great for business, but makes it hard on me for trying to keep up with work. But there's a screw I found. I'm not sure where that goes, where that came from, but I'll find it. And anyway, I'm going to get into diagnosing what's wrong with this. So, God, what a nightmare. Okay, so the microphone's decided to die on me again, so I'm having to narrate this and what I'm trying to show you. But I had to remove this the top panel, and there's 47 screws according to Mike's Mobility. I didn't count them, but yeah, you have to remove every screw that you can see just to get to that switch in case that switch gets damaged. And what had happened is, I've come to find out later on that another shop had tried to repair this and they didn't put it back together correctly, missing screws, and those springs were just floating around in there, not correctly inserted. But anyway, I was looking at the cable. I'm going to do a check from front to rear with the multimeter just to make sure that there's no broken wires from the top of the tiller all the way through to the back of the controller. But yeah, he did not change this controller himself. He actually took it to another shop, the shop that actually closed down. He managed to get it back off of them. They had it for 2 months and couldn't repair it. But they installed a new controller for him, and it still didn't work. But we'll get into that why it didn't work later on. But one of the things why it didn't work. But yeah, I'm going to do like a continuity check just to make sure that the front to rear harness isn't damaged from previous attempts of repair. They changed the controller out, but come to find out there's a circuit board underneath that controller after I took it out, and that's where one of the problems lay. But at the moment I'm just whipping through it and just checking, make sure that cable has got no breaks in it, and then I could do a bit more testing to make sure that as you can see there, I've just removed the controller and found a secondary circuit board. And that is where the problem was, just for the brake. So I'm putting it all back together. I've reconnected the plug that was pulled out or just wasn't connected. And now I find that the brake switch is actually working now. I had a second controller there, but I just plugged it in, not thinking that there was anything underneath the controller, and that didn't work because it was still unplugged underneath. But after I removed the controller, I found the circuit board with the plug missing or pulled out, which I think it was pulled out when they messing with it. But yeah, you have to remove the whole transaxle from the frame just to get the top off from the bottom. Right, with the plug back in, I'm now testing, I can hear the brake clicking on and off. So that was the root of the no brake switch working. So that was one problem. So that's now sorted. And now I've got to figure out why it doesn't move. I'm getting no beep error codes or anything like that. But underneath there is that circuit board. So the controller controls the brake, but it goes through a secondary control board that takes the input from the switch, goes through to that circuit board, splits the signal, tells the controller that the brake's undone, gives an error code if it is undone, but the circuit board then tells the brake to unlock, which I said earlier, it's his Achilles heel. If something goes wrong in those components, you can't freewheel the scooter, so it pretty much renders it a lump of coal. But anyway, so now I've got that sorted out, I can then work at why it's not moving, and that was something else they'd done. So all the damage they'd done to this scooter was done by the prior shop. All he got was a 9-beep error code, and all they had to do was change the controller, but they messed it up. Come to find out also, they were the ones that broke his tiller control, his throttle. They snapped that off. The guy came in this week. This is like 3 weeks after I'd repaired this scooter. They snapped the throttle handle off. So a lot of the damage was caused by this other shop. Right, so at this point, I still didn't know what had been done or what hadn't been done. All he said that he changed the controller. So I put a different controller in there, thinking, okay, it could be a controller issue to why it's not running, to why it's not moving forward and backwards. I'm still having to consider the broken throttle handle as a culprit to why it won't move forward and backwards. But yeah, tried with the controller first, since it's all taken apart. Plugged in the controller, nothing still. There's still no movement. So I'm going to have to rule that out and plug in his controller back again and try working from there onwards. I then started to look at the top console, which they'd pushed in the voltmeter. They pushed that through, broken the throttle. So yeah, this is turning into a story. But I've plugged in the original controller, even though they've got matching numbers, still nothing. But yeah, my controller is the one I'm holding. Tried that, still nothing. So I've plugged his controller back in again, and then I'm going to start working up the top console and see what's going on up there. See if there's anything untoward that may be causing the scooter to not move. Still think it could be controller at this point, but I've got to rule out the throttle, speed dial, and any connections, because there's another circuit board up there as well, which you will see later on. Alright, so we're getting back to this scooter. So obviously they've been in there and they've been tugging on this top console, but I would put hot glue to stick his voltmeter back in as part of one of my repairs for him. But I'm pointing to this yellow plug here. Now this is your speed dial. So obviously they've broken his throttle handle. I tested his throttle. I put a different throttle on there, but still nothing. But as you can see, it actually, the bottom block and the plug has come away from the circuit board. So they pulled that off. And also, I noticed when I took the speed dial out to look at it, they'd also pulled one of the wires off the post of the speed dial. There's only 2 wires going to that speed dial. So, yeah, they pulled one of the wires off and also the plug from the circuit board. So I'm going to have to hot glue that that plug back to the circuit board so it doesn't pull it off every time somebody goes in there, or it goes over a bump and it starts losing connection. And also I'm going to solder that wire back to the post on the speed dial. Now, why it didn't give me a 7 beep code, I don't know. It's probably because one wire was still attached. I do not know why it was not giving me a 7 beep code. But I know I've soldered it back on there, or soldered it back on there, and it does work. It does run, all because of one wire being pulled off, and also in combination with that socket not being attached to the circuit board correctly. So we've got a working scooter again. So time to put it all back together, solder that connection back on, and also replace that switch correctly. Put the springs back in and put it all back together, which is not a easy feat, because you've got to try and juggle everything together as well as get the switch through the top board. So here we go. Let's get it back together and give it back to the customer in working order. Alright, it's all back together. It's all working. But that tiller's a bit wobbly. So what it happened there, I put it back together and put it back together exactly how it came apart. And they'd installed the bearings upside down. So that's the reason that tiller is wobbling forward and backwards. So I fixed that later on for him. So I'm not happy with that tiller moving forward and backwards. But as you can see, the scooter's now working forwards and backwards. So not all repair shops are the best. As you can see, the switch is working, that's in properly. Brake switch is working perfectly. It goes forward and backwards. Lights work. Everything's perfect with it. Apart from that tiller moving forward and backwards, which after I went off of camera, I didn't like that. So I just looking at it, I'm thinking, nah, there's something wrong. Yeah, they'll install the bearings upside down. I should have caught it the first time when I was putting it together, but I was too busy thinking get the scooter done for him. It only took me 2 days to do this, so yeah. Anyway, like, share, subscribe. Coming to the end of the video. I've been busy the last couple of 3 weeks doing a new store for the shop, as in online store, revamping that. I've been busy. So anyway, give us a thumbs up, like, share, comments down below, all that good stuff. I'm going to end the video here. Go to a reputable store if you can. Try and look at reviews, see if they're any good. But yeah, this one is now happy. And it's all done. See you next time. Bye now.